What is up, fellow nerds, and welcome to Not Just Status Quo. Today we will be doing a What's Next for Loki, Episode 3 and beyond.
Alright, fellow nerds, we are back once again thanks to our generous sponsor, Sprite, and we are recording here in the Sprite Room. Delicious. Now, Dave,
Yum.
Keith, are you guys ready for some lemony lime goodness that is Loki?
Doug, you know us. We're always ready for some lemony lime goodness that is Loki.
But will it be as good as Sprite?
Nothing is.
Nothing is indeed.
Thank you, Sprite.
Sprite with lemon. Crisp, clean, refreshing.
And it tastes better than 7-Up.
The winning taste of Sprite.
So we got a few things to talk about today after episode 2. The first thing I want to talk about is Judge Redslayer's side guy. Referenced a couple times by Mobius.
I don't remember this. This must be from that ALS you keep on the side.
Stay focused.
Eyes on the road.
And as we know from the comics, Ravonna Redslayer is the compatriot of Kang the Conqueror. We know that Kang was part of the TVA at one point, and I think he is orchestrating all of this through Judge Redslayer to take power for himself from the Timekeepers.
I could totally see that. That would make sense.
And we know a few things. The Timekeepers from the comics, everything they do is to guarantee that they are the main power in the universe at the end of the universe. That is why they have their sacred timeline. Mm-hmm. That is why everything must stay within that path. And of course, if someone wants to take that power, whether it be Kang, whether it be Loki, whether it be, spoiler alert, Lady Loki, and seriously, if you haven't seen episode 2 yet, go watch it. We'll wait for you guys. It'll be fine.
I'm not waiting for him, Keith.
Yeah, I'm not either.
I want to talk about it right now.
If they're here, they should know, damn it.
That's right. Spoilers.
So I think Kang is working with Renslayer, and they're kind of using Loki at this point to try to get their way, because Lady Loki, or the variant Loki, whatever we're going to call it, her, at this point, is rogue. And they need to reel that person in because they're worried that that Lady Loki is going to take power from them.
Dave, can you help reel them in?
I always get frustrated when I see a character, and I know this is done in these shows that you keep watching, and it's done in a movie, so you keep watching, but it always frustrates me, and I'm sure that's what they want us to be, frustrated, when they talk to them, and they're like, this isn't about you, you don't see the bigger plan, and then they don't reveal anything, and they disappear.
Of course not. I'm already there. You'll catch on.
That always frustrates me, but that's exactly what they want to do.
Oh, yeah.
So I keep watching.
Hey, it's the same thing that we were talking about with The Boys. It's the same thing that they were doing with WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Captain America and the Winter Soldier. Yeah, it's the same idea of making sure that they release it week by week and leaving breadcrumbs to keep you just nibbling it up and wanting more. And like, what are they talking about? I need to watch the next episode. Of course you want to watch the next episode, and that's what they want.
That's exactly what's
All
happening.
hail our Disney overlords, and of course Sprite.
Sprite.
What could be better than the crisp, clean refreshment of the Uncola? The crisp, clean, refreshing taste of Sprite.
And you know, a lot of things could factor into Kang making an appearance in this Loki show. One, we know who's playing him. We know Jonathan Majors is playing Kang. We know that he's showing up in Ant-Man and the Wasp and Quantumania. We've theorized that the TVA city is in the quantum realm.
And I think that's a good theory. I'm totally on board with that.
So a lot of things are tying together that this could make this happen. So I do think that's something that's going to happen. So I don't think we need to be reeled in too much on this one, because a lot of places are already sort of falling into place. We know a lot of things. Mm-hmm. We know Kang showing up. We know he's playing him. Very likely could show up at some point. And whether Loki ruins his plans, and he moves on to his next plan, or something else, we don't know. You know, we don't know how this is going to lead into Ant-Man and the Wasp and Quantumania.
True dat.
Now, I wanted to bring up something about WandaVision. We saw the post-credit scene where she was studying the Darkhold, and she was reaching out. She heard what we all thought was her voice calling out to her. What if that is taking place at the same time as what happened at the end of this show, with all of the resets going on? That's when the multiverse opens up. And that's when she hears what she believes to be her kids.
I could definitely see that.
That's a great theory. I just don't think they're going to do it.
Here's another thing that I found odd. This episode, which we believe is opening up the multiverse with Lady Loki, dropping all of those reset charges into a bunch of different times, was released on 616, June 16th. The 616 universe is the comic universe for Marvel. I thought that was kind of an odd coincidence, if it was a coincidence.
No, I don't think things like that happen lately. You know, I think that's probably.
I feel like that had to have been an Easter egg. I don't know if it has any larger meaning in the MCU or if it literally is just an Easter egg, because that's the other thing that they do within these shows and movies. Sometimes they'll put in something and it's like, oh, that might mean something, and it turns out, oh, well, it's really just an Easter egg. Like what they did with Pietro from the X-Men universe. It was an Easter egg, and that's how they saw it.
You mean Ralph?
Ralph Boner, yes.
Great joke.
To the writers, it was a clever Easter egg. To all of us, we're thinking, oh, this must mean that this character is... Oh, no, I guess not. But who knows? Maybe with the multiverse opening up, who's to say what'll happen? This could open a lot of doors. It could lead to a lot of different things.
I've talked many times. This may make any Marvel show or movie in the past canon, just in a different universe and a different timeline.
Absolutely.
We may see Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., all the Netflix shows and all of that become canon, just not in the actual MCU corner of the universe, just a different part of that same universe. Comics will be a part of it, everything. So it'll be interesting to see where they go with all of this.
And I think not too extreme of a theory. It's barely a theory, but obviously I think we can be led to believe that Lady Loki, or whoever this individual might turn out to be, I think her setting off those charges and creating all those branches is obviously their way of setting up the Multiverse of Madness. And I don't know if this has anything to do with it, but could it be the Multiverse of Madness because it's a Loki that created this chaotic new branched universe and all of these other chaotic universes?
Could be.
Or is that just a clever title?
Spinning out of control because of all the branches intertwining. And Doug, while you were talking about kind of the bombs that went off at the end of this episode, they spent a lot of time setting this up and what it is going to cause. Mm-hmm. We see early on in this episode when Loki is talking to Miss Minutes, when she's quizzing him on what he's supposed to learn, and she asks, what happens if these branches go past the red line? And Loki, after joking, says,
it's when the TVA can no longer reset a Nexus event. Okay? Boring.
Right, and that would lead to the destruction of the timeline and the collapse of reality as we know it.
So that is huge.
Absolutely. And
why would you do that?
Sir.
Can I just say, Keith, that I am so thrilled that Miss Minutes isn't just a one-off character, and that we're finally getting that she's an actual living character that's like jumping around in computers and living and talking. That's great. I did not know that. I didn't expect that. I didn't know that this is going to be an ongoing thing. Mm-hmm. Within Loki, I literally thought she was just going to appear in propaganda videos.
I did too. I was 100%
and for her to be like a living mascot? Oh, that's great.
And then later on in this episode, when they're in Oshkosh, Wisconsin in 1985, Loki's asking Mobius,
why don't we just travel back to before the attack, when the variant first arrives?
Nexus events destabilize the time flow. This branch is still changing and growing, so you gotta show up in real time. Did you watch any of the training videos you were supposed to?
So that gives us two pieces of information that we find out for why Lady Loki did the 42 bombs. What's the meaning of life? Joke. That's what I counted. I don't know if there was more than 42. But we know that if 42 bombs are going off at once, the TVA is going to have a very difficult time in stopping them all, meaning some of them are going to reach the red line. Now, I don't believe, like Miss Minutes told us, it's going to destroy reality as we know it. Well, it will destroy reality as we know it.
Their reality, maybe.
Right. And it's going to stop the Timekeeper's sacred timeline because it's going to branch out and open up the multiverse into a bunch of different timelines where maybe the Timekeepers don't end up on top. So they don't want that to happen. So, of course, as Loki put it, the TVA propaganda machine is putting this out there. They want you to believe it, but it's not true.
Right. Yeah, I would have to agree with that. That seems about right. Seems on par for them, because the way that they display the multiverse, that kind of make you think that there literally is only one singular timeline, but everything that we've seen so far in the show kind of stands against that idea. They might be able to clip branches from their own perfect timeline, but obviously another universe must exist. It's the only way that half of this the MCU stuff even makes sense.
Yep, that's very true. And while we're talking about where some of those bombs went, kind of watching on Judge Renslayer's screen, there's a few other places, and a few of the major Marvel areas where these were sent. Vormir, from Infinity War, from Endgame. Asgard, I don't have to explain that to you if you're watching this video.
I'm going to need an explanation.
Okay, that is where the Scar, which was from Ragnarok, and from Planet Hulk back in the comics. Ego, if you're fans of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, you know that Ego is his own little planet. Titan.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
Well, he is if you go,
Well, I mean, what is that branch going to cause? Is it Ego not going to be with Meredith Quill? Is something else going to happen? Then we see Titan, which we know is Thanos' home planet. So what happens there? Maybe he will become a different Thanos in a different timeline.
Too far gone.
Zip it, Thanos. We have a deal, and you
Maybe a nice hippie Thanos that's super into giving back.
I'm telling you, he's going to be sitting back, and he's going to be like, dude, we got to go back, and we got to double our resources.
Come on, man. We just need to make more food for everybody.
Love everyone.
Love and peace,
love
man.
the whole universe.
That's what worked on Titan.
Am I the only one who sees this?
We don't need it to be balanced. We need an overflow of resources.
Right.
We need an abundance. We need to create more planets just to go get more fruit.
I'll farm them.
I will be there. It's fine. I got this, man.
The key to his farming is the scarecrow he has, which is his battle line.
Absolutely.
Oh, you said absolutely?
Uh-huh.
Next, we have Hala, the Kree homeworld. So when could this have happened? Could it have been during a major Kree-Skrull battle, something along that line? And then the last one, which stood out to me, was Xandar, which we know held the Power Stone and is home to the Nova Corps. So maybe this is going to help speed up Richard Rider, Nova. In the MCU, so that would be very interesting.
Played by Keanu Reeves.
I don't think... See, I would see Keanu Reeves more as Ghost Rider than I would Richard Rider.
Come on, we had Nick Cage for that, man. That's going to be canon pretty soon.
It's going to be in the multiverse.
This is going to be good. You guys realize that, right?
You realize I'm going to hate it, though.
Oh,
everything is going to be nothing. It's not going to. It's just going to be a pile of mush.
Dave, how else are we going to get all the Spider-Mans in one movie?
Don't want them.
But we're going to have No Way Home, and we're going to have Andrew Garfield, and we're going to have Tobey Maguire, and we're going to...
I want Miles Morales from the cartoon. That's it.
He'll be there.
He'll be there.
We need...
And this is the only way it's going to happen, Dave.
Spider-Pig?
Spider-Pig.
We need Tobey Maguire, because you know what's going to happen.
He's going to dance.
No. He's going to show up in No Way Home, and basically what's going to happen is they're going to say he killed Mysterio, not this young kid. So Tom Holland will still be outed as Spider-Man, but they will think this other Spider-Man from another universe is the one who killed Mysterio. So they're going to clear his name, blame it on Tobey Maguire. He's going to die in the movie, so we won't have to see him as Spider-Man anymore. Andrew Garfield's going to go kind of to the Sony universe. Tom Holland's going to stay in the MCU, and everyone's going to be happy except Dave.
That's right.
So tell me more about how much Loki is going to screw with the MCU.
Well, he is going to cause just utter and complete mayhem. Or mischief.
Or madness.
Or madness. While we're on the subject of all of those bombs going off, let's talk about who set those bombs off. A female variant of Loki. But what have we learned about variants from earlier in this episode? That they all kind of have similar power sets, and they all kind of look like Tom Hiddleston.
They all have the same face.
So why does this one look different? Because she's not from this universe. This is the first character we have seen that is outside of the official, I think it's 19999 universe. And she is coming in to help blow this all apart. For whatever reasons, we don't know at this point. I think Kang might be doing it for power. She might be doing it for something else, because who I think this character is doesn't always go for power per se, especially overwhelming power. She even says, I don't want to run the TVA. Because Loki tells her, I'm going to overthrow the timekeepers. She's like, I could care less about running the TVA. Because I think she knows the TVA are not as powerful as they seem to be, and Loki was led to believe in the first episode. A lot of the reasons he thought they were so powerful was because the Infinity Stones didn't work. You know, a lot of these things, and they had control over him. But he's going to learn it's more about where the TVA is located in the quantum realm than them being all powerful.
It also appeared that they knew his entire life from birth to death. So in a way, he probably felt trapped too. Like, they're the arbiters of my entire existence. They determine whether I live or die. Plus, I also saw them disintegrate that dude in front of him. So, yeah, he's probably right to think that they're powerful.
Is this the greatest power in the universe?
But I think, and this is kind of branching off of... Branch, please don't clip it. This is branching off of your theory. I think she knows that the TVA isn't that powerful, because I think she overthrew hers already. And I'm totally on board with what you think, that she's from another universe, and I think that's how she's from another universe. I think she overthrew her TVA, and that's allowed her to come in, you know, to enter into another universe. And she already knows all these tricks, like how to hide out in apocalyptic zones.
And taking the resets to do what they did, and knowing that those branches have to get past the red line, and know it has to be done in real time. She has a lot of internal knowledge of the TVA.
Oh, yeah.
To not have either worked with them in the past, or Doug's theory, worked with them in her own universe. Which I think is very likely. But now I'm going to get to, I don't think this is Lady Loki. She may be posing as Lady Loki to kind of fool these TVA agents to get this variant Loki into the scheme of it all, because she needs this version of Loki for some reason. I haven't figured that part out yet. She needs that Loki. So she used it saying she was Loki and all that, but with her power set, she seems to do a lot of enchanting. We've seen her enchant the one lady who we saw later on at the Rocks Court. She enchanted her to fight her friends and then took her away. She enchanted, you know, B-25 or the TVA agent. She enchanted 2 or 3 different people in that
including Randy.
Definitely Randy. And we also have a scene when Loki is fighting Randy, and he gets thrown to the ground, and when he's getting up, he goes,
I would never treat me like this.
So I think Loki has figured out this isn't him. He knows it's not a Loki. She didn't want to be called Loki. She has a different power set.
She does have a similar crown with the horns, but the horns are much smaller. You know?
But that's to make her look like Loki. You know, remember, when he first meets up with her and he's walking, when he's walking, he's kind of making fun of her powers. Like, he has figured out this is the Enchantress. He's letting her know that he knows by mocking her power set.
Enchantment is a clever trick. Cowardly, a bit amateurish, but clever.
And so he's trying to connect with her on this level, and maybe he has, maybe he hasn't. You know, we'll talk about him leaving with her at the end of the episode in a few minutes. But I think that whole dialogue they had between it was Loki letting her know, I know who you are.
And you know, what I thought from the last show, how it ended, where Loki was in the background, dropped the fire, didn't say a word, and just killed these people. And I said at the time, that's not Loki's style. That's, you know, Loki wants the attention. He wants, like Stark said in the Avengers, he wants the parade. He wants people to know it's him. That didn't fit with Loki, you know, to me. So, you know, that's probably right. It's not Loki.
Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to reel you both in, because here's my thoughts on it. This is going back to what I was saying before. I think the MCU writers like to take things and play it safe. I don't think they're going to introduce a character that they have not referenced in some way, either in a movie or in a show before. I don't think they're going to do something that isn't directly, like, really on the nose. So if this is another character, if it is like an Enchantress, if it is like another character from the comics, I don't think they're going to do that unless they have mentioned this character in some way, like either by name or shown some of her signature costume styles or something. That's what they did with Agatha Harkness. They let you know who exactly it was. And we said this in our Theory Palooza of the WandaVision show, that we knew that that's who it was based on how she dressed. And I think that's the way that they do things. And so unless they've switched up their writing style, I truly do not believe that this is anybody other than Lady Loki. While I'm completely on board that this is somebody from another universe, if this individual is as egotistical as you say, where she doesn't want to rule the TVA, she doesn't want to do anything like that, she has these grand plans, but if she really is that way, why would she not want you to know who she is? Because that seems like the type of thing that somebody who wants to rule, who wants to be in charge, would do. It seems like if she was one of these, very famous Marvel Comics characters, that she would announce exactly who she was. Now, I know she didn't say that she was Loki, but I also thought that was just kind of the back and forth game playing that they were doing with each other, and also, you don't want two people calling themselves Loki the entire time.
That's true, but I do think she was been posing as Loki, so the TVA would use this variant Loki. Okay. She obviously has an understanding of the timeline and knows she needs this Loki to help with her plan. So I do think you are most likely right, because of how Marvel Studios has run these TV shows. They're probably not going to introduce a huge character like the Enchantress without some announcement. But I do think the other shows may be lulling us into a false sense of security and thinking that Mephisto and Nightmare aren't showing up at the end of Loki. It's happening, folks. No, I'm just kidding. But I think they may have taken some of the feedback and criticism of them not going far enough in these first couple shows they've had, and maybe take it to the next step here and maybe introduce it. But
you could be right.
We'll see how it plays out.
True that. True that.
Then we also had that scene at the end where Loki goes after Lady Loki through that time door. Mm-hmm. I think this was pre-planned by Mobius and Loki. They are probably the only two that know this plan, except for Judge Renslayer, who I'm sure Mobius put it up, because, one, they don't really trust Loki. Why take him to another, of these scenes when earlier he lied to them and said, you're going to be trapped outside, and he was stalling for time and did a bunch of things. Why would they let him go with only one person? So much went on that made me believe that why are they bringing Loki here? I think the plan was to get him to be with this Lady Loki / Enchantress, whoever this might be, Sylvie character, to get in for the TVA. And I think the reason that Loki goes with it is because he still thinks the TVA is his proper path to get the most power. Because we saw in a clip earlier when he was talking to Mobius, and he says,
I'll have my magic back. Is no one concerned about that? Of what? Me betraying you? No.
And that is what Loki wants right now.
I really hadn't thought of that until you just mentioned that, it wouldn't make sense that he'd be like, no, stop, don't. As Loki is going through the door, any of them could have stopped him, and they didn't. So, I have to say, that's a really good theory.
I got two theories on that. Obviously, the Enchantress or Lady Loki wanted him to come through. That's why the door stayed open. Why? Otherwise it would have closed right after she went through it.
Fair point.
Which once again leads back to my theory that she needs this version of Loki to do something as part of her plan.
Mm-hmm. And my second is, I love that Mobius is smarter than Loki, and he plays it off like he's not, but he knows everything that he's planning. He already knows it, just from studying him.
Oh yeah, and not just him. He's studied so many other variant Lokis. He knows Loki inside and out. And it kind of sounds like the rest of the TVA knows Loki pretty well. Like they've dealt with so many different variants of him.
And finally, the real question from this episode. Mm-hmm. I think everyone's wondering, and we're going to answer it for you tonight. Will Mobius ever get to ride a jet ski?
But
no. The man cannot. He cannot stay on a certain timeline for more than a couple of minutes. So
I tell you what,
poor guy. Unless something happens on jet ski, like Loki's on a jet ski and then he has to go get him, then he'll ride a jet ski.
What about a tsunami?
Okay.
That is an apocalyptic event right there.
If they do have him ride on a jet ski, please make him jump a shark.
And he's got to be wearing a leather jacket at the
Absolutely.
time, too.
Hey, those weren't all happy days. Like that time Fonzie tried to jump a shark.
So that's what we think is coming up next, and that's our theories. What do you think? Please leave a comment below, and we'll see you next time on Not Your Status Quo.